Hello, Kardec Radio and Kardec Radio Facebook page. We are live streaming and live audio out to the Kardec Radio app. I want to welcome everybody to our program on this day, wonderful spring day in March here in the Northern Hemisphere, March 17th. We are at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, all time zones in between, and around the world. We truly have a worldwide audience. People come and say hi to me from all over the place. It's wonderful. So thank you for being part. Hello, Matthew. Thank you for being part of our program tonight on this Sunday. Again, I just want to tell everybody should be having a program next Sunday, and after that, I'll take a little hiatus, and I'll be probably coming to you from Brazil after I get myself situated with a good internet connection, etc. So why are we here? We are here again. A very exciting program. We are here for the last chapter. This is kind of the summary chapter of How to Live, which is basically an interpretation of what is Andre Luiz meant when he created a poem, Inner Peace, with 24 verses. And we are going to go through each verse and just summarize what we had said in the previous chapters. So my book, How to Live, is available on Amazon. You can get through it on my website, nwspiritism.com. Look at the right-hand navigation bar. You'll see that book right up on the top, and my other books. Of course, again, the main thing that we're here bringing to you information is because of Spiritism, all of Allan Kardec. There was no one that we could have done without than Allan Kardec, the codifier of Spiritism. I'll bring it over here. There we go. The codifier of Spiritism. It was in the 1850s. He was interpreting and asking questions to various mediums throughout Europe and different geographical areas and different mediums, but with the same question, and he didn't codify them in his book until he got the same or very similar type of answer. And all of this, of course, was brought to you by the Spirit of Truth, as told by Jesus Christ, that you, in the New Testament, you'll be given a consoler, the Spirit of Truth, that will tell you more. And we are being told more. Why are we being told more? Why were we told more in the 1850s? Because we were at that next step, technologically and culturally, to be able to receive the message. So Spiritism, again, is not just a one-time thing. The things in the Spirit's book were not just codified and that's it. Spiritism keeps bringing us more and more information from Leon Denis, who started writing books after Allan Kardec, Chico Xavier, Yvonne Pierre, Valdo Franco. All these people, Reverend G. Val Owen, kept giving us more information brought to you by higher spirits, telling us about why we're on Earth, what our purpose is, what's the process, what are the different levels of heaven, what's the lower zone and the deep abyss. What does this all mean? Why are we here? And so this is just the most vibrant doctrine. It's not a religion. But Spiritism says that religions will bring up the central tenets of Spiritism and use them as part and part of their daily religious practices. That is the reality of heaven, the reality of reincarnation, the reality of karma. All those things are real, and they're real because we are here on the campus called Earth, so we can learn to become better spirits. We are on a planet of atonement where we are paying for past wrongs and we are improving ourselves. So one day we can actually graduate and become a spirit who is actually productive and helpful to other spirits throughout the multiple universes created by God. So again, we are here to talk about our last chapter of How to Live. Very exciting. So let's talk about this. Let's talk about when they made this wonderful poem, Inner Peace. So it's really about living well and living to what your spiritual potential is, right? In the poem by Andre Luiz, it's not just 24 random lines of personal improvements. And it's actually a laddered plan towards spiritual ascendancy. As with most communications from the spirit realm by high spirits, every word has a meaning and a purpose. Extraneous prose is not usually present. That is why when I read a book or a message from an advanced spirit, I read it over multiple times. Invariably, I detect a meaning I didn't catch before. And also many times, if I read something early, maybe years ago, and I reread it now, I'm learning more about Spiritism and about the spirit processes and the spirit universes. Even then, I learned something new. Herculano Pires said in his analysis of the poem that it was a blueprint, a sequence of propositions laid out in ascending order, which would illuminate the path to true living and inner peace. Now, each of the verses in this poem is attainable, but the effort to conquer each one is dependent upon successful attainment of the previous stanza. Let's examine the first line of the poem. Trust in God and yourself. And just look at these verses. They're just very short, 4 or 5 words, maybe sometimes less. Very short and to the point. And this is what was so fascinating about writing this book is that, okay, what do they mean by those short 4 or 5 words? What do they mean? How do you attain it? So let's talk about trust in God and yourself. It all starts from there. Without a belief in a higher power and a purpose for life on earth, there's no rhyme or reason to ever improve or think of helping others. We would just be temporary life forms on our planet to attain as much pleasure and material goods that we could, and then melt back into the soil when our time is up. We see it, but that, you say that's really kind of our life today, our culture today, right? You're just here to consume as much as possible, to get as many material goods as possible, and try to live as long as possible, make yourself look young as long as possible, whatever you can do, freeze your body or become immortal somehow, because, heaven forbid you would die, because then it's all up, right? You're gone. You're wiped out forever. Well, that's not true. This is what Spiritism and other religions, I should say religions, Spiritism is a doctrine, have told us. We are immortal. We are immortal spirits. We are put into this body because it's a good vehicle to learn and to repurpose and to mold our character, to take the blemishes out. But so many people trust in being like somebody else, getting that material good. And if you get that material good, your life's going to be good, right? If I have the same as that person on that reality show or that really popular person in school, if I have the same, then I would have the same life. That's all so surface. It means nothing in our immortal lifespans. Having a car or a house in comparison to being billions of years old is absolutely nothing. You will outlive the sun. You'll outlive the earth. You'll outlive the solar system. It's our character that we're here to change. Now, in acknowledgement of a vast spirit universe which watches over us and guides us, changes everything. It changes everything from that culture of materialism, that culture of goods. When we learn about the comfort of God's love, we realize that we are valuable members of his family. And as such, we understand our own worth. We know that we are not evolutionary happenstances. We are humans on this planet to learn and to improve. Hence, we trust the importance of our life and ourselves. What's the next stanza? A serene conscience. So with that as a base, trust in God and yourself, the next line is a serene conscience. Once a belief in the grand sequence of universes controlled by a supreme intelligence is grounded, one realizes there are a set of rules which guide behavior. These multi-universal laws are written into our conscience. If we listen attentively to our conscience, our life becomes tranquil, even in the face of external storms. The knowledge that we are following the precepts of love, charity, fraternity, as well as we are able, dampens down our anxieties. We all understand that the vast majority of stress is self-induced. Our stress is usually the result of doing something that we know is wrong, and our bodies react to the disruption of our inner harmony. That is so important to know. And, trusting God in yourself and having a clear, serene conscience sets the whole stage for everything next. Legions of people complain about debilitating diseases, autoimmune disorders, nervousness, aches and pains, which have no medical explanation, and bouts of deep depression as well, all of which have their start in the weakening of the body caused by tension. Numerous studies have shown that people who are spiritual and believe in a religion or a doctrine that guides us to understand that we are on earth under the watchful eyes of superior spirits are healthier than those who have no faith in a higher power. Hence, the acknowledgement of a moral authority that certain actions are reprehensible, such as stealing, murder, cruelty, wantonness, dishonesty, extreme selfishness, to many of you, are tenets placed above human law. The false theory of relative morality is destructive and only serves to delay the transition of our planet from a place of chaos and hate to our destiny toward a planet of love and support. Climbing the ladder to a plateau where paradise awaits takes human cooperation. It doesn't happen automatically. It's not like we serve our time and we get there. No, we all have to change. We have to remove the blemishes and replace them with good character, good qualities, good habits, love, charity, honesty, fraternity, where the village elders encourage the younger to live together in peace, and those who refuse to treat their fellow citizens with respect are requested to find other homes. That's what the spirit world does. You come here on earth, you cannot fit in. You keep cheating people, you keep lying, you keep showing destructive behavior. You'll go to another planet. You'll go back to another planet of atonement, or maybe even a primitive planet, so that you will learn what it's like and then help those other people, because you'll be more advanced than them. But you will then understand what it's like being in a place of chaos. And then you will change your attitude and then again start ascending. So we have to remember, the earth is a stage of transitions. Humans will self-select via their free will if they wish to expend the effort to acquire the characteristics of the good and participate in the evolution of our planet, or simply ride along and be sent to less advanced planets where they will, once again, be given opportunities for personal growth. So what's the next stanza? Time spent on productive matters. A deep and lasting faith and a commitment to adhere to universal laws of decency frees one to step outside their home into a beautiful garden of opportunities. Pursuits appear as colorful flowers as they are picked, never wither, but remain alive and vibrant within us. Each task that we set ourselves, whether our career, assisting others, providing love and comfort to our family, which is in concert with our faith and conscience, is edifying. Each effort is dedicated to good. It vests itself in our character and promotes our spiritual ascendency. As we accumulate works of light and love, our spirit becomes brighter. When high spirits come to the earth plane, they detect the shine of our aura. They immediately comprehend that we are attempting to scale the great mountain towards spiritual purity, and lesser spirits understand that time spent to divert us is usually wasted. Spiritism notifies us that we live in a sea of spirits. They are all around us and will continue to be as long as we live on a planet of atonement. When the earth rises, it becomes a planet of regeneration. The errant spirits who inhabit the invisible plane around, above, and below us will be moved from earth and sent elsewhere. Hence, the whispering of counterproductive ideas into our minds will eventually vanish. People born and raised on a globe without constant temptation will be happier and more content with their lives, free of longing for that one more morsel of self-indulgence. Because that's where we live now, right? It's hard for us to spend time on productive matters. We all knew growing up in high school, college, even at work. How many people spend time on productive matters? And I'm not saying you have to do it all the time. You need to rest and relax, sit back sometimes. But I mean, it's like, is so many people's focus is on just, materialistic things, getting that new clothes, getting that new purse, getting that expensive car that you can't really afford, instead of doing at least, a half hour a day, or, reading about Spiritism, reading about, understanding your own conscious, meditating for 10, 15 minutes at least, trying to connect yourself to the sea of good spirits around you. That will help. It doesn't take much to get you started. What's the next line? A constructive speech. Nothing motivates others as well as positivism, right? The signs of self-confidence, compassion, and constructive approaches to problems will naturally radiate from you when you have demonstrated a personality steeped in promoting love and care for all. As you become a better person, more spiritual, and a kind individual, your verbal communication will naturally. Oh, it's a Gabriel. Oh, thank God it's Sunday. There. Oh, thank you, Gabriel. So I was saying, so if you're a positive person, you will actually start speaking to others much more with natural grace, right? And caring and understanding. All of these, faith in yourself, in the wisdom of the spirit realm, following your conscience, activities that are beneficial, and conversation which is free of pessimism and negative thoughts create a powerful feedback mechanism. Thoughts radiate from your mind at a constant pace. Your ideas flow around you and throughout the galaxy. At the same time, thoughts from others invade your mind, and you're subtly affected. As you begin to transmit happy and encouraging ideas, these will bounce off of others and return to you. It's a feedback loop, a very powerful feedback loop of ever-increasing goodness will be established. Unfortunately, there's also the opposite happens. When people are depressed and they're mean and rude to others, that creates a negative feedback loop. So you want to start creating a positive feedback loop, and others will feel this positive, good feelings in your presence, which will cause them to think healthy thoughts, thereby sending back uplifting feelings to you. Now, again, as I said, we've seen the opposite, whereby people in a deep funk attract others like them, each feeding off negative emotions, thereby sinking them all further into despondency. Escaping from that condition is difficult and painful. Whereas living in a bright and happy world of emotions allows one to step from small successes to larger ones in victory in life, all the while serving as a beacon of right living to others to emulate. So what's the next stanza? The next stanza, I'm going to take a drink real quick, is a prayer allied to work. This is so important. Being a force for good is wonderful, but to perform at peak effectiveness means that choices of direction should be accomplished in concert with our spirit benefactors. The need for interactive communication with our guardian angels can't be overstated. Now, that doesn't mean that you have to sit there and then, they dictate things to you and go, okay, what do I do today? That is like this look at, and I've written my book, The 7 Tenets of Spiritism, where I talk about how I've seen the signs and signals from spirit guardians. It doesn't need to be some, a commandments written on stone. You just look for the signs and signals. You meditate. You feel when you make a decision. You feel, okay, does that decision feel good? Do I feel stressful, or do I feel good? Even though it may not be good for me materialistically, but do I feel good about it? That's how you listen to your guardian angels and your spiritual mentors. Living and growing and being without spiritual guidance is being like a child without parents. We require, as do children, support, direction, sustenance, and love to continue our struggle to acquire as much valuable experience and wisdom as possible during our short stay in the physical plane. Unfortunately, the advice and care given to us by our spirit guardians are frequently ignored and missed altogether, as teenagers tend to dismiss the greater knowledge and love from their parents, whereas regular family meeting where parents and children exchange ideas freely, prayer and meditation serves to open a channel of communication to the other side. While you may not be aware of direction, inspiration given by superior angelic beings will guide you if your mind is open to light and love. What was once uncertain will become a purpose, and what was filled with anxiety will be replaced with calm and steadfastness. To paraphrase what the Buddha say, When we think right, we live right, we act right. And to ensure we act right, we should measure our inspiration to what our conscience tells us. And if the combination is found to be correct and emotionally pleasing, then we are on the right track. That is so important. If you can master that and just really measure everything against, is like, okay, I'm at work. Should I put this person down to make myself look better? And then think about that. And because I've done that before, I'll tell you that right now. And, you know, it says, Gabriel Foster, I've been studying Spiritism a lot and becoming a better person over time. But once in a while, I fear to be an annoying person. My wife wants to go to parties. She likes to drink and I don't. I know that's, yes, we've all done that. Yes. And look, you're not going to be, I can't believe how many times, Gabriel, that I've talked to people. People want to be perfect right away. I get so many things like that, and they get frustrated because they're not perfect. Look, you're not going to be perfect in this life, and you're not going to master everything in this one life. I'm not. I know that. I'm disappointed. There's still things I do that I shouldn't do. So, and then of course your wife has, she's probably not a spiritist by the way you say it. She wants to go to parties. So and you don't, but what's the harm of trying to go halfway with your wife and being with her at parties, letting her enjoy yourself? Look, we're here to help others in this life, right? And some of it is just you by being and how you act at the parties and how people see you act at parties, right? You don't get drunk, you don't gossip about other people. But if they do, you try to say something positive about the person they're trying to say something negative. Just by seeing that behavior, you are actually doing great spiritual work, and you are learning through a habit of trying to go against the tide, right? Of people, because I know I've done the same thing. People start piling on like, oh, this person's a jerk or whatever, and then of course, then you've got an example of how that person was a jerk. If you can go to those places with your wife and practice saying, well, no, this person did something good, right? If you can practice that, and then drink in moderation, right? If you can practice that, that's good for you. So look at those. That's one of the things really I've just within the last couple of years, I've seen like things, I don't want to do that. I try to look at them as opportunities to instill habits in practice. So anyway, but I'm sure you know best what you need to do. Don't necessarily believe what I say, because within your own conscious, examine it. But we are here to help our wives, help our children, our parents, whoever we can. So if you can just be an example of one of these places, that might be good for you. But I understand how you feel. It's not easy. Luckily, my wife and I kind of just did Spiritism together. But I know many couples where one person is a spiritist and the other person really isn't. And you just have to understand that that person's not ready for that. It's hard being a spiritist. I totally understand. And you just have to be patient and loving. And maybe it won't even happen in this life, but maybe the next life they'll think about it. And when you both pass over and you're together, to go, wow, you were right. So one never knows. So in hope and actions, remember always, our guardian angels desire and fight for our triumph in any enriching mission, right? If there was a failure, it was meant to be. It was to provide a needed lesson, so subsequent endeavors will be victorious. It is important to learn from failures as from successes. Only through analysis of our strengths and weaknesses can we permanently alter our character to the good. The spirit realm has complex plans for you, and your life isn't meant to be a smooth ride in a luxury car. Instead, it is more a trip in your first automobile you purchased in high school. It has frequent breakdowns, and you had to constantly check the oil, but with perseverance, you got to where you wanted to be. As an example, my wife and I were at a spiritist mediums meeting in Rio de Janeiro in February 2018. In a message we received, we were told not to be discouraged when our plans did not proceed as we wished, because some of the detours we take are opportunity for personal growth. So let me say that again. I think it's important. because we had made plans, and of course, the old joke here is, is when you make plans, God laughs, right? Because your plans never work. There you go. Thanks for advice. My guardian angel helped me in all these situations. Jesus is always with us. Yes, you're absolutely right, Gabriel. Thank you. So again, the message we received during that mediums meeting is we were told not to be discouraged when our plans did not proceed as we wished, because some of the detours we take are opportunities for personal growth. I mean, isn't that an amazing message? I mean, these are the messages that I mean, some people go, well, I'm talking to spirit. They should tell me how much money I'm going to make in my next job or where I'm going to learn this. No, they're telling us something so much more important. Don't be discouraged, right? You're going to be going to this path. They're not going to do exactly what you want to do. You're on a lesson plan. You're not in control of the lesson plan. We are. You have free will within the lesson plan, but we're going to help you more than you know. That's really where we are. We're being helped more than we know. And some of the things we go, oh, why me? It's like, oh, you should say, thank you. Thank you, Lord, for teaching me that. Therefore, keep in the forefront of your mind, we are part of an intricate tapestry, right? There's an overall design. We can't see it. We're deep into the threads, but the path to the end must follow these threads, which appear and disappear and touch many others. Deep inside the construction of the carpet, we can't see the pattern, right? It doesn't matter. The plan exists in full view of the spirits who guide us. And when we return to the spirit realm, we too will see it and recognize the brilliance of the enterprise to make us a better person. What's the next one? An industrious patience. As we reanalyze each line of the poem in order, the building blocks begin to reveal their overall structure. In the stanza before, we were asked to commit to hope in action. Now we're being cautioned that we should acquire an industrious patience. It all makes sense. I know, because I've lived it. When I started out on the journey of discovering Spiritism, I felt I had seen a treasure, and all I needed was to open the lid of the chest, and others would also be enthralled. But in each message I received from the spirit realm, I was told I would be planting seeds, which meant that I would not see results. In other words, I had to toil and be patient. The crop would rise at its own time, not the moment that I wished, but when it was ready. To cut through the barrage of calls for purchasing worthless goods with a message of inner peace and spiritual growth is an uphill battle. Most probably it will be a fight that will last decades, if not longer. Allan Kardec codified Spiritism in the 1850s, and it enjoyed a remarkable period of reaching out to European and American audiences. But then organized religion, seeing the danger of calling for internal personal improvement, as opposed to public demonstrations of piety by listening to rote prayers and ceremonies, fought back. And it did its best to discredit the notion of communication with spirits and the truth of reincarnation. Spiritism was able to reemerge, never dying in Europe thanks to the effort of dedicated evangelists such as Leon Denis and others. But more importantly, it found renewed roots in Brazil in the early 1900s and began to reach a large section of the population after Chico C. Xavier started to publish books he psychographed from various spirits, where at the present over 5% of the population are spiritists. And you will find spiritist centers in most neighborhoods and spiritist hospitals in various cities, all dedicated to working with modern methods and the spirit world to help incarnates and discarnates alike. In summary, we are told that any task that we set our sights upon may not be easy or even bear visible fruit, but the work itself is part of the learning experience. As we are doing, we are growing. We are plowing the soil and sowing seeds for the future, our future and those around us. Patience is required, as it always is in any grand endeavor. So what's the next one? A dispassionate opinion. Oh, that's so true. High spirits know the truth about us. They understand why we are here and the tribulations that we must suffer in order to emerge one day as a productive soul in heaven. We are on the planet, have our own truth, right? within our culture, right? And these truths are not necessarily rooted by facts because humans in general are as yet unable to comprehend the true meaning of our existence. Hence, we lack a set of prejudices, conditioned likes and dislikes that we acquire in each lifetime, and some carry over from previous lives. We tend to personalize our feelings towards others. We categorize them into good and bad buckets. Once labeled, it is almost impossible for a person to transfer from the bad to the good pile. Spiritism, in the revelation of the plurality of lives, should destroy this preconception of people according to our own measuring system. Instead, we need to recognize that there are different levels of maturity of spirits, and that we, who think we are civilized and wonderful, should step back and realize that we too have been primitive, stealing, robbing, lying, taking advantage of our fellow man, the whole gambit of abhorrent behavior. We have been guilty of everything in the past, and only via repeated trials have we emerged to the person we are now. Therefore, when examining a person's life and their deeds, don't measure it against one lifetime, but think of the arc of lives, where they have been, where they are now, and what lessons could be waiting for them in the future. Only then can one form a dispassionate opinion. The micro-analysis can be used for greater situation. The spirit world has enabled entire civilizations to rise and fall. They have promoted one race over another and then unleashed destructive fury to rebalance the scales. All is in flux because everything is in constant motion, a forward path of learning. Don't be intellectually or emotionally too attached to a set of abstract notions on earth. Each country, civilization, political party, religion, or whatever human-created organization one can think of are all going to disappear or to be radically transformed as we approach the creation of a planet of regeneration. What's next? The blessing of comprehension. The blessing of comprehension, mental preparation, a positive attitude, work, a plan, patience, and objective analysis are all keystones to growth, personal and professional. Next is the mortar which holds together the foundation for improvement, understanding, comprehension, learning, and spitting the information back out is something every successful student acquires. Spiritism starts out like that for many. One reads doctrine, watches video, dives deeper into the books by Chico Xavier and other mediums. The truth of multiple lives become clear. The predetermination of trials for each one of us is recognized. Intellectually, these processes of the spirit realm and how they guide our existence become logical and part of our thinking. When we examine a person, their circumstances, and their life in general, we can detect the hand of the spirit realm and the effects of previous histories. But eventually, after much study and meditation, an added dimension occurs. One begins to feel, along with an intellectual clarity. It's both. That's what wisdom is, right? Good feeling and intellectual thinking. No longer is a person analyzed like a rat in a laboratory experiment, but you analyze them as a beloved spirit, a soul whose defects are caused by ignorance, a lack of spiritual maturity. This is the real start of wisdom, knowledge, emotion, empathy combined, which puts one at a new level of comprehension. It is the seeing of a person through the eyes of the spirit realm, not as a person to be disregarded or to be forcefully altered and freed of their bad habits, but as a person of potential, an object of love. A sculpture of beauty trapped inside a slab of marble. This is how we are seen by the spirit realm. Each splinter of rock is removed with the utmost care in anticipation of the next chisel strike. Extensive planning is required to finally reveal, after millennia, a pure spirit, one that is utmost pristine in thought, but will still retain their unique personality. Oh, good. Matthew, I downloaded some of Chico's books on my phone. Right now, trying to finish Heaven and Hell by Kardec. Yes, that's a really interesting book. And it's great. So, yes, you can download these, and a lot of them are in PDF. So, good job, Matthew. What's the next verse? A participation in everyone's progress. With comprehension of the real world around us. Oh, before I forget, you can also download the Spirits book. I have the Spirits book on my phone, too. And I forgot how you search for that app, but it actually lets you jump around in different chapters and look for key phrases. So I did find out there's also an app for that on the iPhone. I'm sure it's probably on the Android phone too. So participation in everyone's progress. So with the comprehension of the real world around us, not the world of illusion that is pushed onto us by those who wish to profit at every turn on everything we do and every click we make, there comes a time when we are able to visualize the stunningly complex intersectionality of each human being. Every small and large, insignificant and significant encounter each of us has with others is mainly scripted in advance. Hence, we understand that when we are touched by the life of another, we should take interest. Our interest should be one of that determines the best opportunity for self-growth for the person within our sphere of influence, not the best method to teach them a lesson, but the optimal scheme to supply that person with tools to use in the future. Heuristics, the art of problem solving via a variety of approaches depending upon the circumstances. This is one of the main components that we are expected to master during our multiple sojourns on Earth, and we should experiment with our fellow humans. Hence, we should painstakingly review how we are able to assist each person, so they too will be able to analyze their circumstances and self-correct any faults they deem necessary. I repeat, it is not our job to be judge and jury. The individual will accomplish this over time. It is our task to facilitate the lesson plan imposed upon them by the spirit realm. The next verse, just 3 words, a compassionate attitude. And the formation of our approach to others, we must place to the forefront compassion. True consideration is to help without making the receiver suffer mentally or physically. It is assistance based upon the knowledge that we all have, being where that person who we are helping is presently in one life or another. We've all been primitive spirits fighting for survival and thoroughly selfish. Guidance without judgment. That doesn't mean we can't analyze the faults of the person or mentally list the wrongful deeds they have committed. Only that we reserve our harsh statements and prescriptions for a time when the person is open to suggestion, and then act more like a coach than a law enforcement officer. We should strive to never make the person feel inadequate or small. They too are wanderers set upon a journey of self-improvement and destined to become perfect spirits one day. Hence, instead of forcing a person onto a path, we should point out the benefits of the following the better road ahead. Let them make a decision. After all, a wrong choice may be more beneficial in the long run than choosing the correct answer. The next stanza, only 4 words, truth enlightened by love. If you've been able to conquer the previous 11 steps and have arrived at a level of wisdom balanced by knowledge, compassion, with a deeply set foundation stone in the certainty of our immortality and the love of the Supreme Being for all souls, then you've reached a mighty plateau. Truth sounds so easy to decipher, but as long as we are wrapped within our human body and all of its frailties, the illusions we construct to satisfy our ego blind us to reality. Our self-importance, our false beliefs in the goodness in all circumstances, our intellect, the righteousness of our desires, all form a rigid set of armor protecting us from the truth. Chico Xavier, who was by all accounts a very humble man, a medium who psychographed more than 450 books, yet he lived a very simple life. He slept in a small bed in a small room. He was asked, "Chico, are you humble or are you ashamed?" And he replied, "I am ashamed." This simple answer exposed everything about what Chico knew about himself and all humans on the planet. To be humble is to be not proud or haughty, even though you may have reasons to be so. If Chico said he was humble, then it would imply that he is acting with deference because of his philosophy and love of people. Ultimately, it would denote that he was a self-made man who had vast mediumistic powers and many achievements under his belt, but he decided to act with kindness towards all. Instead, he said he was ashamed, which fully demonstrated that Chico understood that he was an immature soul, albeit vastly superior to all of us. In the land of immature souls, who are learning to become civilized. Chico knew that saying he was humble would be like a fifth grader saying he or she was humble. The elementary student has no concept of life outside their house or classroom. They wouldn't understand the truth about life beyond their little universe. They couldn't comprehend. They don't have the capacity at their stage of development. Chico knew this and answered the question with unerringly honesty. Although the difference between the child and us is that we do have the capacity to comprehend, but the trek is difficult. Hence, to fully embrace the truth, we must step outside of ourselves. We must look at ourselves with compassion, yet under a pure white light of veracity. We must strip away the false pretenses and see ourselves for the immature soul we are. That we live in a world of falseness, false goals, false desires, false institutions, all there to hide the naked truth. That we are imperfect on a journey to become perfect. Truth enlightened by love. And that journey is not accomplished in solitary, but with the guidance from a higher power, with absolute rules of conduct, which we all know, but steadfastly attempt to ignore the pleas of our conscience. While under this harsh spotlight, we may look like wet shaking puppies, but understand well, within each incarnate spirit, there's a secret garden of love, understanding, and compassion waiting to be revealed. All it takes is hard work and study. Okay, so I've gone through 12 of the stanzas of the 24 stanzas. So I think, and we've used up most of our time. So I will stop there and I will finish this from my book, How to Live, Inner Peace Through Spiritism. Of course, you can get that on my site, nwspiritism.com, or you can look it up on Amazon and click on the link. You can get it in Kindle or in paperback. And of course, don't forget, as Matthew's done and otherwise, there's lots of books that are available on PDF. So all of Allan Kardec's books are available in PDF. And like you said, Heaven and Hell, very interesting. They write about spirits who say, okay, this is what I've exposed, what I've learned in heaven. This is why I'm in. And of course, in Spiritism, there's no hell. There's a temporary where your attitude has changed. It's a very interesting book. I recommend it to everybody to read. Again, please share this Facebook streaming. I will also save it and put it on the YouTube and the BitChute channel. Again, you can see connections, links to subscribe to my YouTube channel, to look at my YouTube channel on the right-hand navigation bar. Please tell your friends. The videos are good for you to watch, to understand. There's a lot of other videos through this other Spiritist Society. Go to my Facebook site, Spiritism and Spirit World Around Us. There's lots of good links. I think there's some things going on there in Florida, Miami, Florida. So take your friends, go talk to people. Try to, you don't have to evangelize. You just have to be there and talk to people and say, well, this is what I believe, and bring things in conversation. And if they don't react, then not to pursue it further. That's what I do. I don't force myself and think, because otherwise, if you force yourself, people think that you're just a crazy person. I'm sure a lot of people think I am. But as I go through this, my faith is based upon what I think are real facts. Now, would they be facts in a court of law? No. But to me, the real facts, the real happenings, the real things in my life that have no other explanation than there are spirits, the spirit world, and that we are more than what we seem. So I want to bid everyone a wonderful night. I will see you. We'll finish this next Sunday night. God bless everyone, and thank you for this. So Gabriel asked a question: why do we become sad seeing people make mistakes rather than to be happy that we believe everything has its proper time? It seems that the more we learn, the more we want to teach others. I have to reach the balance of it. Yes, I know. That is so true. And that's why they're talking about, that's why one of the lines of the verse was an industrious patience. You just really hit the key on that, some of the meaning of an industrious patience, which means you have to be patient for people to reach their own level at their own pace, at their own time, and with the spirit world helping. You can't necessarily force people along, especially those you love. And I understand, how you're speaking is you can't make them see the light, right? You can't force someone to internalize something. And it's best just to help as you can and be patient. And again, as I said, it may not be this life. It may be the next life or the next one after that. So that you just have to smile and know that you're there to help, and that when the opportunity presents itself, you lightly express your opinion and you just always give good help. But yes, Gabriel, you've said, that's why, again, patience and then the blessing of comprehension. Those are two things that will work in your favor, to be more understanding and not have to say, oh, I want better results because I love that person, right? I want that person to be better. I want better results now. And that person's not ready, right? It's not ready. They will be at some time. That I promise. Okay. Is there anything else? Anyone? When I get to Brazil, I'll probably have some of these. We'll just have, questions on Spiritism and so forth. So it hopefully will branch out a bit as we see. Anyway, I want to thank again, please share, subscribe to my BitChute and YouTube channels, and tell your friends, share this. And I want to say God bless to all of you who are listening and those who see it later on our channels, and have a wonderful week. And we'll see you next week.